HaKadosh Boker Or Masechet Sotah Daf Amud Aleph 10a. We're starting just on the last line on the Tet Amud Bet. Amar Rabbi Chama B'Rav Chanina says Rabbi Chama B'Chanina. Hechal. Now we're on 10:1, 10a. Hechal Shavuato Shel Avimelech. You know that it was annulled the Shavua of Avimelech that he made to Avraham Avinu. Tichtiv, because it says in the pasuk, Im tishkor li ulnini ulnechti. Which means that if you're going to come and you're going to, if you're going to do sheker to me, whether it's to me, to my children and my grandchildren, so since the Pelishtim were the ones that went against the Shavua, because they fought against the Jews first, so therefore it was annulled the Shavua. Once it's annulled the Shavua, that's why Shimshon was able to fight the Pelishtim. You understand what happened? Meaning, Avimelech was the king, right? And he went and he was speaking with Avraham Avinu. And he told Avraham Avinu, we're going to make a peace treaty, not only just between us, between all our generations. Yeah, but then afterwards Shimshon came and he started killing them out. So what's going on? He went against the treaty. He said, no, since the children of Avimelech, which were the Pelishtim, came, and they said, right, they came and they said that they went against the treaty because they fought against the Jews first. So since it was annulled, now the Jews are allowed to come and fight against them, and that's what Shimshon did, that he was killing them out. You know that the child started becoming older. We're referring to Shimshon. He's referred to, by the way, Shimshon and Gibor. Yeah, Shimshon, he grew up and Hashem blessed him. What did he bless him with? He gave him a beracha on his organ, on his male organ. Amato k'bnei adam, v'zaro k'nachal shotef, which means his organ was like a regular male organ, but his zera was like a nachal shotef. Was like a river. It just continued going. Right? Which means that even though he looked normal, he was able to come and have as if to say whatever he wanted of an amount of zera. So he says, right? So Shimshon comes and he tells Hashem, saying, Hashem Elokim. This is a very famous song that Shimshon is saying to Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, remember now, strengthen me, right? Just this time. And he's going to take revengeance with one of his eyes from the Pelishtim. What does that mean exactly? Listen to this. Amar Rav, says Rav, Amar Shimshon Ribono Shel Olam, Zechor li 20 shana sheshafati Yisrael. Remember me the 20 years that I was the judge over Israel. Right? Remember that for the 20 years. Yeah? And then what? So he says, V'lo amarti lecha mehem, and I didn't tell anybody, right? Haveli makel mimakom makom. Imagine, I was the one that was like the leader for 20 years. I never once went and told somebody, you know, do me a favor, take this to there, or do this, or do that. Never. Went Shimshon and he captured 300 wolves. Asked the Gemara, what's going on now? What did he do? Listen to this. He says, I'm going to get the people that they go against themselves to pay back, right, the people that the Pelishtim that they went against themselves. So therefore what he did was, that's why he took the Zanav of the Shua, that they retracted. Okay? What did he do exactly? Right? So he comes and he says, right, you know what he did? This is something actually incredible. It was very difficult to come and to trap wolves. So therefore, he dafka trapped the wolves, right, in order to send out, right, the fire. You know what he did? He tied to the tails of the wolves, he tied fire. He tied like a thing that had fire on it. And then what did he do? He lit it up. And when he started lighting all the tails of the wolves, they all started running. And they ran all through the fields of the Palestinians, right, of the Pelishtim, basically. And they burnt everything up because with their tails, and they just continued running. Because imagine, they've got fire in their tails, just running and running and running and running. They're burning everything up. That's what they did. That's what he did. Look at the chumah, what he did. He used the animals to come and he did this. So Tanya, we learned in the right time. It says between the shoulders of Shimshon, there was 60 amot. Obviously, what does that mean? There was 60 amot. I'm saying, you know what 60 amot is? Every amah is 48 centimeters. So you're going to tell me what? Between here to here, half a meter. So you're going to tell me there's 60, between here to here, there's 60, 30 meters. So he says, He basically took off the doors, right? The entire doors with the bolt and everything. He just picked up the doors and just like, it means the doors of Gaza were like 60 amot. So it means it was like 30 meters. And he just picked it up and just took it off. Yeah? And then he was coming and he was in the Bet Asurim. Amar Rabbi Yochanan and Tchina l'shon avera. He was doing avera. לכן הוא אומר, תתחן לאחר אשתי, מלמד שכל אחד ואחד הביאו לאשתו בבית אסורים, שתדע ממנו. Do you know what happened? When they put him in jail, this is already after he was caught because of his wife. Remember, what did his wife do? His wife took out the secret, right? She was part of the police team. She took out the secret. Once she took it, she cut his hair. When she took off his hair, he wasn't a Nazir anymore. He lost all his power. So what happened? They came in and they grabbed him, and now he thought to fight them, and all of a sudden he had no power. So they took him, they captured him, they took out his eyes, they put him in jail. When they put him in jail, you know what they did? Every Plishtim brought his own wife to Shimshon to have relations with him. So they could have children like Shimshon. Think about that. Every guy was bringing his own wife to have relations with the guy, so that way he would be able to have. So I'm going to papa. This is what people say. Somebody that always drinks wine, bring him wine. The kamed fuka, and somebody that always is like, is digging like the ground for vegetables. Bring him a basket of vegetables. What does that mean? Shimshon, since he was having relations with his nashim plishtiot, so at the end he had a whole bunch of women of plishtiot that he was able to have relations with in the jail. Rabbi Yochanan says, anybody that has relations, his wife will have relations behind his back as well. Meaning that many times it happens that a woman will come and she'll commit infidelity. And many times it's because he also did the same thing. Meaning it's not like a one-way street. Sometimes it's because he started it. That's what it says. Which means he does big pumpkins. But the wife will do smaller pumpkins, which means it could be that they're both doing the exact same thing. The only thing is, a man gets upset if the woman does it, but technically speaking, it means that he himself already actually started, right, doing this. Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi Yochanan, Shimshon dan et Yisrael kavim shebashmayim. Do you know that Shimshon, he judged Bnei Yisrael like their father in heaven? What does that mean? That Shimshon, that he came from Shevet Dan, he judged with them like Shiftei Yisrael. Okay, do you know that Shimshon was called because of the name of Hashem? Right? Which means that that's where it comes from, Shimshon. Shemesh umagen, Shimshon. Okay, right? Now we're going to ask the following question. So lo yimache. So for you should never erase the name of Shemesh then. If you're going to, Shemesh means sun, literally, the sun. Right? Shemesh v'yareach, sun and the moon. But if you're going to tell me then that Shimshon comes from Shemesh Umagen, which is the name of Hashem, Shemesh is the name of Hashem, so don't erase it. But rather, it's like the name of Hashem. Just like Hakadosh Baruch Hu is the protector of the world, so too Shimshon was a protector in the generation of Israel. Rabbi Yochanan says, do you know that Bilam was lame? He was in 1 foot. He couldn't walk properly. Yeah, Shneimar says in the pasuk. Shimshon
was the two
legs. Shimshon gave שתי רגליו היה.
So how we
שנאמר, right? שיפון עלה אורך. No. So we learned in a Braita, 5 נבראו בין דוגמה של מעלה. Do you know there were 5 things that they were created just like above? וכולן לקו בהם, but all of them, right, were hit with it. בכוחו, right, Shimshon was בכוחו, which means Shimshon had like it was almost like a strength of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. What does that mean? Like, but he was hit with his strength. Yeah, Shaul betzavaro, with his neck. Avshalom with his hair. Tzidkiyahu with his eyes, and Asa beraglav, and Asa with his legs. So you see from here that each one had like a supernatural power, whether it's with the hair, a beautiful hair, whether it's with the eyes, whether it's with the strength, whether it's each one, but they were hit with it afterwards. Shimshon בכוחו דכתיב ויצא מכוחו מעליו, הקדוש ברוך הוא took away from him. שאול בצווארו דכתיב, ויקח שאול את החרב ויפול עליה. He jumped on it. Yeah? So how does that prove it? Let me just see. It actually killed his throat. meaning when he jumped on the sword, it hit his throat. So the place where it actually hit him was his throat. In his eyes, because it's written, right? That he made him blind. Asa b'raglav, with his feet. Rak le'ed ziknato chalat raglav. He wasn't able to walk, basically. Okay? It says here gout. Yeah? In the footnote, it says he had gout. So the gout didn't let him walk. How is it gout? It's like a machat in a flesh of a human being. It's like putting a needle in the flesh of a human being. How does he know that? Because he himself had it. He learned it from his rabbi. And some people say, which means that who tells the secrets to all the different people. Rava comes and expounds. Why was Asa punished? Because he put Tamidei Chachamim that they had to work for the king. What does it mean? Nobody's clean from doing it. Even a chatan v'kala that they just got married, he put them to work. So Ki'ilu, since he took Tamidei Chachamim to start working, that's why he was punished. It says that Shimshon went down to Timnata. It's written that your father-in-law went up to Timnata. What does that mean? So therefore it says here, since Yehuda and Shimshon were both in Eretz Yisrael, why does it say that they went to Timnata? So Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar, Shimshon shenitkana ba ketiv ba yirida. Shimshon, Timnata was something negative. So it says he went down to Timnata. But Yehuda, that he became better from it, because from there came Melachim, ketiv be'aliyah, he went up to Timnata. So it all depends. What does it mean? Do you go up or down? But if they're both in itself, it's the same direction. What do you mean up and down? You understand? It means that. So no, it depends. What was not the physical action, but the spiritual action. Second answer: there were two timnatas. One of them was going downwards, and one of them was going upwards. So that's a third answer. If Papa says chada timna havai, there was one timna. If you come from one side, it's like you're going downwards. But if you're going from the other side, it's aliyah, you're going upwards. For example, these places that they're like on the mount slopes. So since they're mount slopes, so therefore it's ki'ilu that it all depends where you're coming from. Is it you're coming from uphill or from down, like you're going downwards? But so it says by Yehuda Tamar that she was in the Petach Enaim. But she went in the entrance of Avraham Avinu. So that everyone was always looking there. Okay, that's the first answer. That's what it means by Petach Enaim. Chanin Amar, right, in the name of Rav, a place which the name was called Enaim. And that's what it says. Tapuach HaEnaim, right? V'ha'enam. He says the third answer, that she put her words to her, she put her eyes to her words, right, when she was looking for it. He asked her, maybe you're a goya. She told him, no, Gioret, I'm a Gioret. So yes, maybe you're married. No, she's not married, she's single. Maybe your father received Kiddushin. She said she's a Yitoma, or she's an orphan, she doesn't have a father. Maybe you're a Tmea, you're Nida. She says, Sonani. Right, so all these things she told him. Okay, so then he went, Avraham Avinu, and he built and he planted an eshel in Beersheba. He made a beautiful orchard, and there he had all the types of fruits and things like that there. One says it was a pardes, that is like mamash, like a orchard, and one of them says it was like a pundak, it was like an inn, like a hotel. It's good according to pardes, that's why it says vayita, that he planted it. But according to the pundak, a hotel, why does it mean he planted it? It's written no, he said no. He planted his like armon, his like his palace. Don't say the Yikra, Yodam Ubet, 10b. Ela vayakri. He made that other people would come and call the name of Hashem. Anybody that was there was always, saying the name of Hashem. Kate said how? After these didn't drink, they used to come and he used to say, no, it's on the house. So he used to bless him. He says, no. You ate from me, you didn't eat from me. So then come and you're going to bless the person of the world. So what does it mean when it says in the pasuk, so Yehuda saw her, he saw Tamar, and he thought that she was a zunah, but she covered her face. Because she covered her face, he thought it was a zunah. The opposite. Usually that's a siman of tzniut. Since when is a zonah tsanua? Yeah. So Amar Rabbi Elazar says, since she covered her face in her father-in-law's house, he didn't recognize her. Meaning she was so tzanua and her father-in-law, Yehuda, you know who your daughter-in-law is. He didn't recognize her. He didn't. Why? Because since she was so covered up in her father-in-law's house by Yehuda, he comes and he sees her now and he doesn't realize that this is her. Right? Any kala that is going to be tznuah in the house of her father-in-law, she's going to be zocha to have melachim and nevi'im. And how do we know this? From Tamar. Nevi'im dichtiv chazon Yeshayahu ben Amoz. Right? Melachim from David HaMelech. Says Rabbi Levi, we have a masoret, a tradition from our forefathers. Right? They were actually brothers. And right, it says over here, since Amatzia, just like other Malchi Yehuda, were from David HaMelech, they came from Tamar. So it comes out that also Amos, right? And therefore his son Yeshayahu ben Amos was also from Tamar. So you see from here, this is a masorah that anybody that's going to be tznuah in the house of her father-in-law will be zocha, that she will come out from her kings and prophets. Because Yeshayahu was a prophet and Amos was the king, right? Amatzia was the king. Sorry, okay. Then it says he mutzet. She's being taken out in order to be burnt. He mitutzet mi ba'ele. She was being taken. What does that mean now? He mutzet, right? That she's found. What does that mean? So Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar lachar shenitzu simanea. Right? What happened was that after they came and she brought the simanim, bas samechmem v'richakan. He went and he took it away. Meaning like this. You remember that what happened was that she took signs. She took the seal and she took the staff, right, from what's his name, from Yehuda. And then what happened was that she wanted to come and she wanted to send it. And what happened was, it says came Samechmem and he distanced it, so she couldn't send it. So Ba Gabriel v'Kirvan. So then came Gabriel and he brought it closer, so that way she could send it to the formula. Hainu d'chtiv, and that's what it means in the pasuk when we say Lamnatzech al Yonat elet rechokim ledavim yichtam. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan, it says Rabbi Yochanan nisha, right, shenitrachaku simanea naasit kiyona ilemet. From the time that it was distanced to her, right, the simanim, she became like a yona ilemet. She didn't know how to talk. She wasn't able to say anything. Le David michtam. What does it mean le David michtam? She had something David shaya mach betam. She came out to David that he was very anav and very tamim. He was very innocent. He was very humble. Lakol to everything. Tavar acher, another explanation. Michtam shaita makatot tama. That in the place of his milah was tam. It was always shalem. He didn't have to do anything, which means he was born with a brit milah. He was born keshu mahur. Tavar acher, another explanation. Michtam shekashem shebaknutno iktin atzmo tzemish gedol menu. Just like when he was younger, he made himself smaller by people in order to learn Torah. Kach b'gdulato, so too when he was greater, he did the exact same thing. She said to her father-in-law, saying, to this person, I'm going to become pregnant. Says 1 second. Yehuda should have said befirush, that why didn't you? Tamar should have said mefurash, the child is from you, and then that's it. Amar Zutra bar Tuvi Amar Rav Amar Rav Chara bar Bizna. Name of Shmuchat Rav Milan Sam Tzeb Yochanan name of Shmuel Yochai. Noach lo laadam she'apil atzmo to Mishana Hayesh v'bil penei chover u'rabim. It's better that a person should throw himself into a fiery furnace and never embarrass anybody publicly. And how do we know? Tamar, from Tamar, which means that Tamar, she would rather be thrown inside of the furnace than to embarrass her father-in-law. And she said, Akerna, did you recognize this? Amar v'chamer v'chanina, be'aker biser la'aviv, be'aker bisru. Do you know what that means? That means what goes around comes around. He went, Yehuda came and he told his father, Haker, do you know who this clothing is? Which it belonged to Yosef. And he played the trick. He knew that Yosef was killed, right, by a wild animal. So he went and he told his father, do you recognize these clothing? Says the Gemara, Midah kenega midah, that she told him, do you recognize these simanim? Right, because what goes around comes around. Haker nakdor micha, haker bisru, right? Haker nalami. So he says, nah. What do you mean, nah? In na l'shon bakasha, whenever it's nah, it's please. Amrale, she told him, bakasha mimcha, haker penei boracha. Please recognize the face of your Creator. And do not hide your eyes from me. Says Yehuda, she recognized it. She said, no, she's right. It's from me. Tzadka, she's righteous. She's right. Mimeni, it comes from me. Yosef Tzaddik, that he was sanctifying the name of God privately, because remember, nobody knew that he didn't cheat with the wife of Potiphar. He had an extra letter from the name of Hashem. That's why it says Yud Hey. It has the letter of Hashem. the name of Hashem inside the name of Yosef. That means Yosef, he added a letter, right? Be Yosef with a hey, right? Yehuda, that he also sanctified the name of Kadosh Baruch Hu befarhesia. Zachav nikra kulo, that he publicly was Mekadesh Shemaim. Zachav nikra kulo, his entire name is the name of Hashem, because you have Yud Kei Vav Kei, right, inside of his name. Inside of Yehuda, you have Yud Kei Vav Kei. Kevan Shoda v'Amar the second that he said Tzadka Mimeni, that's Avakov Amra, right? The Bat Kol came and said, you saved Taman and her two children from the fire. Chayecha Shani, right? It's your life. I'm going to save. I'm going to save three people from the fire. Who are they? These three tzaddikim are going to be saved from the fire because you just went and you saved Tamar from the fire. Tzadika Mimeni. What does it mean, Tzadika Mimeni? Menayada. How did he know there was? How did he know that maybe other people also had relations with her? Meaning, okay, it's true, Yehuda had relations with her, but maybe if she was already dressing up like a zonah, maybe she felt lonely. Maybe she had it with another 20 people. How does she know that? How does he know that it came from him? So Yatsa Bat Kol v'Amra mimeni yatzu kevushim. He said, no, Bat Kol came out and said that it comes from me. Meaning this thing, this entire episode that just happened, came from me. He never knew her again. Once he knew her, he never separated from her. Meaning the second that he knew that she was doing L'Shem Shemaim, he continued living with her. Which means over there, does not mean he's not going to continue. It means that he doesn't stop. Right? That means it's basically there's going to be two different opinions, obviously. If you remember, actually, Rashi brings down two different opinions. Here, it's only bringing down okay. So here he's only bringing down this. Rashi brings down the two different explanations. Yeah, fine. Because he says there's two different nuschaot also in Targum Uklus. Yeah, from Bereshit. Meaning in there in Bereshit, Rashi brings down two different explanations. Either he never knew her again, meaning he only had relations with her that night. That's it. He never knew her again. The other explanation we just had here that was that he did know her again. Continue knowing her. Avshalom nidgay b'saro. So Avshalom, he was haughty with his hair. We learned in the right. Avshalom b'saro marad shneimar. He rebelled with his hair. Shneimar Avshalom lo ya ish yafeh. There was nobody like as handsome as he was. וגלחו את ראשו והיה מכס עינים לימים אשר יגלה כי יכבד עליו וגילחו ושקל את שער ראשו 200 שקלים למלך. So what happened is that when he used to take off his hair, right, from one year to another year, so he used to take like the mishkal of 200 shekalim, right? That's what of Even HaMelech. Tana Even she'anshe Tveria v'anshe Tzipori shekulim ba, which that's like a stone. Even HaMelech is a stone that the people of Tveria and the people of Tzipori used to measure with it. Lefichach, and therefore nitla b'saro, he was hung by his hair. Shneimar v'yikareh שלום לפני עבדי דוד, ושלום לוחב על הפרא ויבוא הפרא תחת שובך, האלה הגדולה ויחזק ראשו באלה, וייתן בין השמיים ונעלה ויפר את אשר תחתיו עבר. Basically, he got hung by his hair. His hair got stuck in the tree. And because of that, he was tangled in the tree. שקל ספסירה, בא למסכס. So what happened was, he took the sword, and he was going to kill him. תנא ומשמעאל, באותו שעה נבקע שאול מתחתיו. Right? Basically, what happened is that he wanted to cut כאילו לשיער, right, to get him down, which means that Avshalom wanted to save himself. He took out the sword and he was going to cut his hair so he could fall down to the floor and then he could run. But they said at that time, Gehinam fell underneath him. So therefore, he couldn't save himself because if he would cut his hair, he would fall straight into Gehinam underneath him. ויגז המלך ויעל על עליית השער וייף וכל ממלכתו בני אבשלום בני אבשלום ייתן מותי אני תחתיך אבשלום בני והמלך לאט את פניו ויזעק המלך כל גדול בני אבשלום בני. So basically what happened is that David HaMelech, the second that he found out that Avshalom was killed, he started crying. He went up to the Aliyat Ashar, to the roof, and he started crying, and he started saying, look, my son Avshalom, my son Avshalom, who's going to give my death instead of you, meaning that he should have died instead of him. Avshalom, my son. And the king comes and he covers his face, and he starts crying, Kol Gadol, and he says, my son Avshalom, my son. So the question is, why is it written 8 times my son? So my son. How 8 times? What's he doing? Shiva, the school Mishiva, every time he said my son, he took him out of Gehinam. The 7 levels of Gehinam. Be'idach, and the last time, that way his head and the body could come back together. That he could come to Olam Haba. Meaning it's either that his head and body form back together. Because remember, he cut off his head, right? Yoav. If he chopped off his head, they're not together. But no, that they came back together, or some people say to get Olam Haba. But basically, you see that the fact that David HaMelech came and he said, you're my son, he took him out of Gehinam. So imagine what the power is. From here, actually, we learn a lot of Musar, that they say that, if we're the children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, automatically HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take us out of Gehinam, but we have to act like his children, obviously. Shalom lakach v'yatziv lo b'chayav. So it says here, so he made a matzeva. What do you mean lakach? He took a matzeva. Matzeva is a monument, like a, you know what they call the matzeva? By the burial, the tombstone, that's called the matzeva. So what does it mean he took a matzeva? He took a bad sale. Meaning he went and he took the bad thing because he wanted to look for power, and therefore he rebelled against his father. All right, the matzevet shel be'emek hamelech Chanina bar Papa be'etzah muka shel makol olam. This was every action that Avshalom did was because HaKadosh Baruch Hu decreed it upon David HaMelech because of Bathsheba. So therefore, that's why this actually happened. And we continue.